Today we're making this macrame Christmas bow, but watch all the way to the very end because I'm going to share 3 different ways and how to use it. Alright, so to start off with, we're going to grab one of our cords and we're going to measure out 40 centimeters. And we're going to pin that down onto our board, and then we're going to use that cord as a guide and pin down our second cord. So the 2 inside strands will be your short 40 centimeters, and then the outside will be the rest of your length. Next, we're going to tie a square knot. So to tie a square knot, you want to grab your leftmost cord and place it over top of your 2 centers, and then your rightmost cord goes over top of that tail, around and through the loop of your left. Now for this pattern, you want to cinch it up almost to the very top, but you want to leave a little bit of a gap. Okay, so now complete your square knot by repeating the same thing but to the opposite side. So you'll be making a loop on your right this time, wrapping your left around and through the loop. Now before you go further, just double check that you have those loops at the top. You want them big enough that you can slip a cord through them. Next, we're going to go ahead and tie more square knots, making sure that it's directly underneath our first one. And don't forget, if I'm going too fast for you, feel free to adjust the speed of this video by tapping the 3 dots on the top right corner of the screen, or you can go ahead and check out my knot tutorial playlist where I go much slower and in more detail. Alright, so you want to have 10 square knots in total, so make sure you count them and double check that there are 10 there. You can unpin it from your board. Now we're going to take these 2 center strands and we're going to thread it through the top loops. If you have a yarn tapestry needle, that would be super helpful, or you can always use a crochet hook if you have one handy, but you should be able to slip them through the loops yourself. Once you have them through, you can go ahead and close in that gap, and you should have a large loop like this. So to make sure that it doesn't slip out, what you want to do is pin it back to your board, and what we're going to do is we're going to tie one more square knot right at the base. Now I know what you may be thinking. If you're familiar with your berry knots, this is very similar to that. But after this part, that is where the similarity ends. We're going to switch it up a little bit. Now what we want to do is create another loop on the other side. So to do that, you want to tie another square knot, but you want to leave a small gap right at the top, just like we did at the very start of this project, making sure that it's large enough that you can pass a cord through. And just like we did before, we're going to tie a total of 10 square knots. And of course, double check to make sure that you have 10 there. Grab your center cords and thread them through the gaps that we left at the very top. Once they are through, go ahead and give them a pull, which will create your loop. Then flip it over and tack it onto your macrame board. Now to secure this side, we're only going to tie a half of a square knot. It doesn't matter which side, we just need a half of a square knot. And with this knot, I like to cinch it up pretty taut. Next, you want to snip off the excess cords, but you want to leave about a centimeter of a tail. And then right away, I like to tack down those tail ends with some hot glue, just to be sure that our knots don't slip through. Now you want to repeat the whole process all over again 3 more times, so that you have a total of 4 of these little bows. Now to turn these little bows into a big bow, you want to join them together with some hot glue. Now I find it best to work in pairs, so you want to glue 2 together at once, creating an X, and then repeat the same thing with your next 2 sets. And I like to glue together the 2 sides that already had the hot glue showing. Now that you have two X shapes, what we're going to do is glue them together, forming an asterisk shape. I like to really squeeze it tight as the hot glue is drying. That way it's really bonded together and our bow isn't as bulky. Next, we're going to create that really small loop at the top of our bow. Working with our two shortest strands of cord, you want to fold them over similar like how we did at the start of our project, having the two center cords shorter than the outside cords. And just like we did before, you want to tie a square knot, leaving two small little loops right at the top. This time, we're only tying 6 square knots in total. Okay, so double check by counting your sidebars here. You should have a total of 6. And you guessed it, unpin your work, grab the two center cords, and thread them through those top 2 loops. Cinch up the slack, go ahead and pin it back to your board, and tie a half of a square knot. Grab your scissors and trim off the excess cord, leaving about 1 centimeter. And then hot glue the ends. Then you can go ahead and grab the rest of your bow and glue it right to the very top. Now this macrame bow is good as it is. You can wrap a Christmas present and have a reusable bow, or you could go ahead and turn it into a Christmas ornament. So to do that, you want to grab a small strand of crafting cord. I'm using gold. And you want to fold it in half and tie an overhand knot right at the end. And this will create that loop hanger that you can hang it onto your tree. But to secure it onto your bow, you want to do that before you go and glue all your pieces together. You want to glue it right between your two X shapes. By gluing it here, it really helps balance your bow so that it's not kind of topsy-turvy when you go to hang it onto the tree. It's perfectly straight. Plus, I find that when you glue it in the center, it's a lot more sturdier and less likely to fall apart. Okay, so once you have it glued to the bottom half, you want to sandwich it on there, press it really good together, add your top little loop, and give it a good press. I think this makes a really adorable Christmas ornament. And if you want to be super clever, you can use this as a bow to wrap someone's gift, and it doubles as an ornament. Next, we're going to create a really cute hair accessory with our bow. So I want mine to sit off center, so I marked it on the hairband right where I want the bow to be. And all you have to do is hit it up with a little bit of hot glue on the bottom of your bow, and attach it onto your headband right where you had marked it off. And there you have it. Now you have a really cute bow hairband. Now I think this one's my favorite, and all you're gonna need is one really strong magnet. And believe it or not, I bought these pack of magnets on Amazon as well as my rope. I'll leave the link in the description box for you. Now, this one is super self-explanatory. All you do is take a bit of hot glue and glue your magnet onto the bottom of your bow. Just make sure that it's facing the right way. If you enjoyed this 4-in-1 macrame bow tutorial, please do me a huge favor and give this video a thumbs up. And I'll see you in the next one.
I'll see Karen because he's gonna get that huge car.